Uh, Hi guys, welcome back. Um, just have a little video on probability. So I know we had just a bit of discussion on what probability is. I'm pretty sure you guys know where probability is used. So this is I'm just gonna go through a couple of exercises, and what work you need to do for the rest of the lesson. This is just a meme because why not? I like memes. Okay, so the last lesson we had, we talked about the language, like very briefly, we talked about this. So each title will tell you what book it's from and what exercise. This is obviously the Year 8 book 13.2. So there are specific words we use to describe possibility. So in this scenario, as you see, there's like a number line kind of thing, goes from 0 to 1 or 0 to 100%, and the words that match it. So, for example, if something is definitely going to happen, 100% is going to happen, like me shooting a ball into the hoop, that's 100% chance of getting, I'm going to get that in. So that's certain, or 100% or one hole. Something that's impossible means it's never going to happen. In any scenario, it's never going to happen. For example, me missing one of these shots, that's impossible. So 0. Obviously, even chance means that it's at 50%. So it's either, for example, like heads or tails. That's a 50% chance because there's only two options that you can get. And then you've got everything in between. So you guys need to be familiar with what the terminology matches with the actual words. So for example, highly likely, that's 0.9, so that means it's like 90%, right? So if I were to convert these decimals into percentages, that could make it easier for you guys as well. So you guys need to be familiar with what words match what kind of scenarios, but it might make it easier if you know like the percentage that matches it. For example, very likely is 80%. So it's like, what is 80% chance of happening? Um, so just be familiar with words and what numbers it kind of matches up with. A probability of 0 implies that the event is impossible, as I said, and a probability of 1 implies that it's certain. That means it's definitely going to happen no matter what. And probability can be written as fractions, decimals, and percentages, which you guys need to be aware of. So when I did the shooting, I told you guys to give me your prediction out of a fraction, so out of 20. And you need to be able to convert that into percentages and decimals as well. Okay, so I want you guys to pause the video and I want you guys to try these questions. The first question is the word that describes the probability for a standard die to show a prime number is. So going back to the number line, which word describes that option? Question 2. Answer the following for each of the spinners shown. Is there an equal chance of landing on each color? Explain. List all the possible outcomes and find the probability of each outcome. So for A, B, and C, for each of the spinners, you need to answer those 3 questions. So I want you guys to pause the video, and I want you to complete this in your books or OneNote, wherever it is, and in the next class, I will be going through the answers. I might actually do question 1 now that I'm here. So in a standard die, that's a key word. So standard die means it has one, oh, I can't even count, how embarrassing, 1 to 6. And then out of those, which ones are the prime numbers? And you put it as a fraction. So the prime numbers in this scenario will be, let's just go back. Prime numbers means that you can only divide it by itself and nothing else. So 2, 3, and 5 are the prime numbers. So there are 3 of them, and in total there are 6, which means it's 3 out of 6, which is a half, and we know that's 50%. So if we go back to our chart here, 50% means it's asking for the word. So be careful with the question. It's asking for the word that describes it. So the word that describes it will be even chance. The best way to do in these cases is put it into a fraction, convert it, and then see where it fits. So I want you guys to try question 2. I want you guys to also try this as well. So I gave you guys, we did question 1, where examples were given. I want you guys to think of everyday events that will feature each of these words. So what is an impossible event? So I want you to copy this table and put it into your OneNote and give me examples. So I'll be going through each of these answers as well. Try be realistic, please. Don't worry about this, we did that. The next part is the next exercise. So I know it's a bit jumbled up, but now we're going to Year 7, 10.3, and I'm going to briefly talk about sample space. So sample space is the list of all the possible outcomes of an experiment. So when you're conducting an experiment of some sort, what are all the possibilities you can get within that experiment? So for example, when we toss a coin, we can either get heads or tails. So the way you write the sample space is this here. So this capital S equals the curly bracket heads, comma, tails. So I'm stating what options I can have. That's my sample space. If I ask you for the number of possibilities in a particular sample space, you write it like this. Little n, capital S, the capital S stands for sample space, and 2. So this is that because there are 2 options, head or tails. So usually we use, this is what I want you guys to be familiar with both, but if I ask you to state the sample space, you write it like that, capital S, heads, tails, whatever it is. If I ask you the number of possibilities, you write it little n, bracket with the S, equals, and then you write how many there are. So I think if we look at this question here, so it says a card is drawn from a standard deck. So standard deck of cards. The suit of the card is noted. So obviously there are 4 suits. List the sample space for this experiment. So it's asking you to list it. It's not asking you for how many. It's asking you to list. So the way you write it is you write capital S equals, and then you want to list the sample space. So it'll be diamonds, comma, clubs. Make sure you put commas in between them. Then you got spades and hearts, and you close the bracket. So that's the list. If it asks you for state the number, then it'll be N, S, and there's obviously 4 different suits. So that's that one there. This one, a die is rolled and the number on the uppermost face is noted. How many elements are in the sample space? So let's assume we are talking about just a standard die, 1 dice, with obviously numbers 1 to 6. It's asking you how many elements. So it's asking about the number. It's not asking you to list. So this is how you write your N, S. We know that there are 6 different options you can get. So you just write 6. So that's all it is. So sample space is telling you what options you can have, and be familiar with how to write it, like what the question is asking and how to write your answer. I also want you guys to complete these 2 questions. It's on forms, and I will send you guys the link. I'll put it on OneNote as well. So you just press on the link after you've done this, answer the 2 questions. And this task, so this is Year 7, 10.3. You are doing questions 2, 6, and 10. So for the remainder of the lesson, you are to complete these questions. Like I said, don't mind where you put it. As long as when I ask you to show me, whether it's in your book or not, you should be able to show me. And I will check this in the next lesson. So hopefully that all makes sense. And I will see you guys at the next lesson. Okay, bye.